I'm sure you've seen posts on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok talking about this romance author making 5K a month, this other thriller writer making 10K a month, and so on. So, is all of this real? Yes, people are still making big money on Kindle writing fiction, and I'm not talking about AI generated books. So, what is the secret? Why can't you do it as well? Now stay with me because in this video, I'm going to give you a 6-letter framework that answers that specific question. It's called R.E.A.D.E.R, and if you can honestly say yes to all of those 6 letters, you have everything you need to build a career as a self-published fiction author in 2026. When you're ready, let's go. Welcome back, authors. My name is Brian and I run bookads.co, an agency that helps authors with their Amazon and BookBub ads. And if you need help with that, just find the link in the description. So, making a living with writing fiction on Kindle in 2026. I am not a fiction author, so how do I know what I'm about to tell you? Well, I run a book ads agency, as you know, and I've worked with hundreds of authors. And to be 100% honest with you, it's the old 80-20 rule. So only about 20% of fiction writers that I work with are making real, income level money. And I know that there are a few things in common that these authors, the 20 out of the 80, have that the other 80% just can't get right. And it's not easy to get all of them right, because it is hard, I'm not going to lie. But if you do manage to follow this blueprint that I've come up with, you have a very concrete chance of being one of those 20%. So let me introduce you to the R.E.A.D.E.R framework. 6 letters, 6 fundamentals. So let's break them down one by one. Okay, first letter R, and this is the big one. Read through rate. Now, this is your foundation. Before you spend a single penny on marketing, before you think about ads or distribution or pricing, you need to absolutely know this number. So here's how it works. If 100 people buy book 1 of your series, how many of those people go on to buy book 2? So that percentage is what we call book 1 to book 2 read-through rate. So here's a bit of a benchmark that will either relieve you or confront you. So if your book 1 to 2 read-through rate is below 50% on paid sales or below 75% on Kindle Unlimited, you do not have a marketing problem. You have a craft problem because people are not finishing book 1 and going on to read number 2, or even they are finishing book 1 but they didn't enjoy it and they are not going to go on to read book 2. And this has been validated across thousands of series. Now the principle is simple. If fewer than half of your readers are choosing to continue your story, no amount of ad spend or paid advertising is going to save you. You are pouring money into a broken funnel. So the fix here is the writing, not the marketing. I know it's uncomfortable, but it's also the most clarifying thing that you can know, because if you calculate your read-through rate and it's above 50%, well, now you know that your product works. So the question becomes, how do we get more readers to book 1, which is where the marketing comes in. So right now, go to your KDP dashboard, take your book 2 sales, divide them by your book 1 sales and multiply by 100. That's your read-through rate, and write it down. Everything else I am about to tell you only applies if that number is healthy. And if it's not, go write your next book. Seriously, come back to this video when it is done. If it is healthy, then let's keep going. Letter number 2. Okay, this is the letter E. E is for email list, the one audience that you actually own. Not your Amazon followers, not your Instagram followers, not your TikTok followers, an email list of readers who raised their hand and said, yes, I want more of your work. I want to hear from you. So build it from day one. Grow it with a reader magnet in your back matter, a free short story, a bonus epilogue, a novella, or even a chapter of the next book at the end of book one. So something that gives readers a reason to hand over their email address. And here's why this matters so much. It is the only marketing channel that no algorithm can take away from you. Amazon can change their ad platform tomorrow. I hope they don't, because otherwise I'd be out of business. And Facebook can tank your reach, but your email list, that's yours, 100% yours. So when you launch a new book, your email list is your first wave of buyers. They're the ones who buy on day one. They spike your rank and tell Amazon's algorithm that your book deserves attention. And crucially, they are genre readers because they already love what you write. So the signal they send to Amazon is clean, targeted, and exactly what you need. So if you're writing fiction and you don't have an email list, start one today. It doesn't have to be complicated. Simple landing page, reader magnet, and a link in your back matter. That's it. If you want a more in-depth explanation on how to do this, let me know in the comments. And subscribe, by the way, while you're there. Okay, the A is for also bought. And this one is quiet, slow, and devastating when it goes wrong. Now, most authors never realize it's happening until months of damage are already done. When you launch a new book on Amazon, the algorithm watches who buys it. And this goes back to the previous letter. It tracks what other books those buyers already own. And over time, it builds a kind of a recommendation profile. People who buy this also buy this, and so and so. And these are your also boughts, and they're one of the primary ways that Amazon surfaces your book to new readers. But here's the trap. If you launch to the wrong audience, say your personal Facebook friends who maybe read a mix of, I don't know, literary fiction and self-help and crime thrillers, when your book is actually cozy mystery, then Amazon is going to be puzzled. They're going to see a mess of unrelated purchasing. So it can't find the pattern and it cannot recommend your book to other people. So your also boughts get contaminated. Amazon just stops recommending your book to cozy mystery readers, which are the exact people you want to read your book, because it can identify that that's who you're written it for. And the contamination can last for months. It's just really, really long time. So sometimes the only fix is a full relaunch. So it's not to be taken lightly. So the lesson here is your launch audience is your most important marketing decision. Do not announce your book to people who love you that don't read in your genre. Announce it to people who love you and love your genre. Genre-specific Facebook groups, newsletter swaps, ARC readers that you sourced from specific genre communities, for example. Okay, if you're finding this useful so far, just drop a comment and let me know. Looking for my pen, and hit the like button. It generally helps us, and it helps us reach the authors who need it the most. So going back to what we were saying, your also boughts are a asset. Protect them from day one. Okay, the letter D is for distribution decision. Distribution decision means KU or wide, Kindle Unlimited or going wide. Now, before we get into this, I get lots and lots of questions. This only applies for ebooks. You can have your print books everywhere you want, anywhere you want, on your website, but still be exclusive to Amazon when it comes to the ebook. So that being said, every author forum, every Facebook group, every podcast eventually circles back to this debate. And actually, here's the answer that nobody wants to give. It's not a choice. It is a genre decision. Romance readers, for example, overwhelmingly live in KU. Lit RPG readers, for example, live in KU. Paranormal romance, some cozy mystery subgenres, heavy KU readership. So if you're writing in these genres and you go wide, you're invisible to 60 or 70% of your potential audience. And they will never leave the KU ecosystem to buy a book elsewhere. especially if you're a new author. So it's like not existing for them. Now, epic fantasy is more wide. Literary thriller is wide. Historical fiction tend to go wide. And these readers buy. So the first question is not, what do I prefer? The question is, where do my readers actually live and where do they go to read their books? Now go look at the bestseller list in your subgenre right now. Pause the video and do it. If the top 20 is dominated by titles with the orange Kindle Unlimited badge, then that is your answer. Follow the readers, not the ideology or any sort of advice that somebody might have given you. Because this decision affects every royalty you earn for as long as that book is live. So get it right. Okay, here's the second E, economics of series. And this is where most authors' brains break in the best way possible. So stop measuring individual book sales. Start measuring lifetime reader value. Let me show you why. So let's say you have a 4-book series. Book 1 is priced at $2.99. So you earn around $2 in royalties. Books 2, 3, and 4 are $4.99 each, roughly $3.50 per book. Now, if a reader buys all the 4 books, you've earned about $12.50 from that one reader. Now, let's say you spent $4 to generate one book 1 sale. On book 1 alone, the ACOS would be 200%, advertising cost of sale. 200% looks terrible. But remember, you're not just selling one book, you are acquiring a reader. And if your read-through is 50%, half of those readers continue to spend another $10.50 with you. So the average revenue per reader acquired is around $8.50. The cost per reader acquired, $4. So you're profitable by a margin that compounds with every book in the series. The more books you have, the better things are in terms of your royalties. This reframe changes everything because the number you should be tracking is not the ACOS. It's your cost per reader acquired versus the average lifetime value per reader across your full catalog. And here's one more thing on economics. You've probably heard the strategy. Set book 1 to perma-free, so always free, to pull readers into your series. Sounds genius, but here's what the data says. Your book 1 to book 2 read-through rate from free downloads typically falls to 3 to 6%. Now compare that to 40 to 50% from full price buyers, or even if your book 1 is discounted, changes things a lot. Because a perma-free reader is, 8 to 10 times less likely to continue your series than a paid reader, because in that way you're not acquiring readers, you're acquiring downloaders or freebie seekers, and it's a completely different thing. So the math for perma-free only works under very, very specific conditions. A long series of 5 or more books, a strong mid-series pricing, and a KU-heavy genres. But for most authors with a 3 or 4 book series, a well-targeted full-price one will almost always outperform perma-free. Because the real job of book 1 is not to make money. It's to acquire readers at the lowest cost with the highest read-through. And this doesn't mean it has to be free. Okay, we're down to the final letter, R, which stands for release architecture. The most successful indie fiction authors are not publishing one standalone and hoping for the best. They are building systems, a series with compounding read-through, a release schedule that their readers can anticipate, a catalog that does more selling every time a new book drops, because every new book reintroduces readers to everything that they haven't bought yet. Now think about that. Every single launch isn't just a launch, it's like a reactivation of your entire catalog. Now your email list gets a reason to open, your also books get refreshed, and your ad performance improves because there's more lifetime value per reader to justify the spend. And also remember that each fiction book might be old, but when a reader finds it, it's like it was written yesterday. It's very different from a non-fiction book on AI, for example, who, it's going to be obsolete in 2 months' time. That's a bit of an extreme example, but a fiction story, if it's a very good story, very good book, if somebody picks it up in 10 years' time, it's going to be like if it was written yesterday for them. So fiction in this has a very, very big advantage. So you need to think about this not just as writing, but as architecture, and it connects basically every letter we've talked about. Your read-through fuels the economics, your email list powers the launch, your also boards compound with every release, and your distribution and decision maximizes your reach, and your economics justify the investment. So Reader, it all works together. So here it is, write it down, Reader, stick it next to your screen, also because you always need to remember that your reader is your #1 goal. But before you make any decision about your author business, whether it's about ads, distribution, pricing, KU or not, or your next launch, run it through this framework list. Most self-published fiction authors think they have a marketing problem, but they don't. They have a product problem, and the fastest way to know which one is yours is the very first letter. Calculate your read-through rate. If it's below 50%, write better, not louder. If it's above 50%, now we're in business. Okay, I want to know which letter of Reader has hit you the hardest. Drop it in the comments below. And if you've calculated your read-through rate, share your number, even if it's painful, and tell me what it is, and I'll tell you what I would do next. If this landed for you, hit like, because it generally helps this reach authors who need it most. And if you want to go deeper on how to actually run profitable ads once your reader fundamentals are in place, I've got a video right here on Amazon Ads that breaks all of it down. Go watch it right now. So click my face to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.